Oh, hello, Dina.
Hello there.
Hi, Dina.
Hi.
Okay, it's streaming live.
Okay, thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to open the meeting on Wednesday, 18th of November 2020. We are using the Webex platform. Could I remind everybody before I open the meeting that if you have any declarations of interest in any items that are on the agenda, please declare it when you're called upon. The meeting is now open, and the first item is apologies for absence.
John Bevan.
Yeah.
Dot Pullen.
Thank you.
Paul Beachy.
Thank you. That's it, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Right, to receive any declarations of interest in agenda items from councillors. None. To consider any written applications for dispensation. Any, Lee?
None received.
Thank you. Speakers. Bob called me earlier on this evening to say that he would not be at the meeting because he has had a very busy day and he needs a rest. I'm sure he's got quite a lot on his plate at the moment by the sounds of it. But he did ask me to mention to you that he has seen the reports about the 100 houses. He's been in meetings today with regard to the bypass and he feels that he's succeeded in getting it through, that the Eastern Route Bridge would be the better idea. Obviously, there's still a lot to go on that. Also, the Bridge Solace Bridge and Road, he's asked for that to be considered, I think, to take the bend out as you go over the bridge. As you all know, that if you use that road, it's a very bendy, dodgy road and does really need some improvements, considering I think it's a B road, isn't it? The other thing he mentioned was that the flooding from the A480 that is affecting Glebe Close, he has been speaking to the various agents to try and resolve something for it. Both our BT and so forth are aware, so hopefully something will come of that. But he is still on the case with that. Other items was the cycle path, which it's one of his projects that he wants to get a cycle path right the way down through from Cranton Hill right the way through Kingsacre Road and along to improve it for cycle users. I think I've covered most things, but as we go through the meeting, if there's anything he's made issue to, I will bring it up then. Any other speakers, Lee, that I thought we were supposed to have policemen?
No, it's January.
January, is it? Okay, right. No other speakers, right. We move on to public question time. Is there any questions from the public, Lee, please?
No, none at the moment, but we've got obviously an opportunity at the end of the meeting as well, so if people want to comment on the feeds, they can do.
Okay, thank you. We then move on to approve and sign the minutes as a true record of the ordinary Parish Council meeting held on the 21st of October 2020. We apologise for late deliverance of this to you, but I do hope that you've all had a chance to read it through. It's quite lengthy, but I hope you've all had a chance to read it through. Is there anybody want to make comment to that? If not, can I have a proposer and a seconder of anybody who was at that meeting? Thank you, Dina. Proposing? You proposing, Dina?
Seconding Bex, I think.
I'm
Oh,
happy. Yeah.
sorry, Bex, I can't see.
No worries.
I found you.
Yay!
Okay. Right out. You got that, Lee?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, there you go, everybody. I've signed that. Move that to there. Right. We now move to the financial reports. If we can cover this as a whole, confirmation of the bank balance, receipts, invoices for payments, and comparison to the budgets.
Okay, so during the month, hang on a second, I'll just scroll down to the bank statement. Balances. So we've got £83,831.73 at the end of the period. During the period, we had. Let me just move the sheet. We had the rent, the CCN advertising from Hereford Centre for Natural Health and Made Domestic Services. The HMRC VAT claim has been paid now. Aardvark Installations paid their CCN, and a new advert from Beau Visage. I don't know if I said that right, but you'll be able to see the advert in the next edition. In addition to that, I'll cover the grant later. So outgoings for the period, it's all of the payments that were authorised at the last meeting, plus the trade waste, the Nest pension and the British Gas Electricity, as well as Welsh Water. They're all normal operating costs. And there's the 2 electric for the changing rooms and car park lights as per normal. The rest were approved at the last meeting on block. So outgoings for the period 779991. During the period we transferred 7,000 from the reserve to the current account, and then this month we have the normal outgoings to approve. So CCN for November, Craig Powell the litter maintenance and cleaning for the period, expenses, the wages for myself, HMRC payment. The boiler's been serviced at the resource centre, annual service. There's a small bill there for, if you remember, I got a warranty claim done on one of the items of play equipment, but there's some items that weren't covered by warranty and we need to order those to repair it. And then there's the 6-monthly fire alarm service for the resource centre there as well. So that's 1,843.27 during the period. Once they go out, we'll be left with 81,988.46. At present, we've got a few items outstanding, although some of those have now been paid. So the Gareth Higgs has now paid that and chased that up. These aren't due yet. And you'll see that I've raised a bill for the recharge of the culvert report that Bob Matthews is going to chase up for us. I had a good conversation with Mary Lane at Hereford Council and she's agreed to find the funds to pay that, so that's good news. Outstanding liabilities, we've just got the normal WebEx, web hosting and electricity on the creditors at the moment, so nothing usual, and the same liabilities as usual, so defibrillator fund, Nest pension for the period, the deposit for the nursery, youth club funds, and obviously we've now started creating a creditor for VAT to reclaim in March. So total liabilities for the period 1,036.17, which will leave us with £233.29. So breakdown of reserves, we've got 38,863 that's sitting there, which relates to the bus pulling. I don't know if we've got an update on that from Bob. Terry?
Yes, he will. He's having discussions with, I can't think of the guy's name.
Bruce Evans.
Sorry?
Bruce Evans?
Yes, that's the guy. It's his intentions in the next couple of weeks, once all this is, the lockdown sorted out, is to have a meeting with him, myself, Lee, and so forth, so that we can come back to Parish Council to let you know what's going on. But the fact of the matter is, it's a highway issue, and they sent out those maps for us to comment on and give our preference, which but at the end of the day, it's highways who will make the decision on what's going to happen there, and they will then call on the remaining monies that are left over to pay for part of it. So my issue to Bob Matthews and Bruce Evans is, whatever you do, the Parish Council will not use their funds to pay for any overspend. So that's where we are now.
Yeah, and the option that the Parish Council agreed was less than this budget here anyway.
Yes.
So, just for clarity. The Roman Park, we currently have 4,700 in the reserve there, and there's a few options on the agenda for repairs at the changing rooms. So now that we haven't had the money yet for the report, but once we've had the money back from Hereford Council, we'll have a £15,000 in reserve for the culvert repairs. There's the £85 there sitting for the changing rooms planning fee. Embankment repairs, still got some reserve left on that. Litter bins, that's complete. The legal fees for the land register. When we did the agenda, I hadn't had any information back from the solicitor, but I've now had a letter which I'll scan in and circulate, which relates to the registration of the Roman Park and the community centre. But they've confirmed that the budget that was initially discussed with Terry and myself, which we budgeted for at 1,500, is right. So I'll bring that on the agenda for the next meeting for you to formally agree. Charitable provision, that's all spent. New signs for the community centre, I've just started getting quotes for and some options for you to start looking at the next meeting. And the repairs and renewals budget, we've got 2,000 left there. So reserves that are budgeted for 62,000, which leaves 19,000 available for ongoing operating costs. So I know we've got a lot of finance on the agenda, so I'll just quickly go through this. This is the normal comparison to where we are on the budget, so I'll just skip down to the main figures. So we were £1,905 underspent so far for the year. Then we overspent on the charitable grants, which left us overspent by £1,600. But we've had an additional £10,000 grant from Herefordshire Council for the COVID fund, which leaves us £8,700 in a better position than we expected at this present point. There's nothing major changed since the last period since we went through those figures. So Terry, do you want to get that approved before we moved on to the draft budget?
Right, ladies and gentlemen, is there any comments from Lee's briefing with regard to the financial report Let me just make sure I'm not missing anybody. All right, Paul. Thank you. Right, ladies and gentlemen, can I have a proposal and a second that we can pass item 6.1 to 6.4 as a whole for the financial report? Thank you, Bob. And I need a seconder. I'm just going to. Oh, thank you, Martin. Okay. Paul B. Martin. Okay, we then move on to review the draft for 2021-2022. Hopefully you've all seen a copy of that on the emails that Lee sent you, which is these. Nonetheless, it's on the screen there. We spent a lot of time going through this, Lee, Martin, and myself, to come up with a financial plan for next year, and it's what's in front of you. Lee, Martin, anybody want to?
Do you want me to? I'll just summarise where we got to at the meeting. So, Finance Committee met, so we looked at this alongside the survey reports and the current year's costs. So essentially, as you're probably all used to now, seeing the total operating costs. So these are things that we need to do and are essential to running the village, if you like. And there's very little movement in that because most of it's statutory or required. So one of the main changes is the minimum pension contribution that the council has to make to me. Goes up to 4% from April 2021. So that's a statutory minimum that's gone up to. We're now doing meetings obviously via this platform, so that's another £150 that's slotted into there. And the meeting room hire, I've put in some extra costs there just in case we need to hire headway for meetings next year, because the resource centre just simply for social distancing isn't big enough. So if we were to go back to face-to-face meetings, then it would be sensible to have the meetings there in a COVID secure manner. Everything else is either based on this year or this year plus a slight increase of 5% just for prudency, really. The only other thing that there's a major change, there's two more things. The insurance, if you remember when we looked at the insurance this year, there was a higher option that had better cover for us and assisted in risk management. And at the moment we've got the sort of budget solution, which is the Zurich option, which is the cheapest, but it doesn't necessarily give us the sort of things that we need. So obviously that when we come to the insurance, I'll get quotes again and represent to the council, and the council can make a decision, but at least if we budget for it, then that option's available. If we don't use that money, we can of course reallocate that money to another fund such as repairs and maintenance, or move it to one of the other reserves like the Roman Park Improvement Fund. Annual boiler service wasn't on our budget previously, so it's only £65, but it just shows that we're starting to get a bit cleverer with the budgeting. And then the last thing that's changed really is the maintenance that comes under Craig Powell. Previously we'd just put 2 hours a month in for general maintenance. Now what I've been able to do is sit with Craig and go through the survey reports that were produced and list all of the routine tasks such as clearing gutters, clearing gullies, cleaning windows, all of the things that we should be doing to keep the buildings maintained. And I sat down with Craig, worked out what we need to do and how much it's going to cost us. So we've got a costing now for our general day-to-day maintenance of things like that, which we were doing anyway. It's just that we hadn't budgeted for it previously. So that's the only changes, which brings us in at £31,006. So if we compare that to the current year, our current year budget comparable is 30,501. And the reason it's less is because a lot of the contracts we've repriced over the year. So in fact, we're doing more things next year, but we're doing them more efficiently and cheaper, essentially. So 31,006. I'll come back to this section because it's kind of a balancing section, if you like, in many ways. We had a good talk about the precept, and currently the retail price index is around 0.7%. Our precept at the current year is 43,951, so basically 44,000. I don't think there's any more houses in the village this year, so the actual, when you divide it up by the number of properties, it's not going to change per household, which will happen obviously if we get an extra 100 houses, for example. I've assumed no increase on the rent, on the basis that they've continued to pay a full rent this year, and they are essentially surviving and making a very small profit, and they're at capacity now based on their plans. They've of course got the same issue that the council have got with regard to minimum pension allowance going up and so on. So they've got increased costs that mean that they're going to be less profitable as well. So keeping the rent as it is at 550 makes them profitable marginally. They pay themselves a good salary, and not good salary, I'll rephrase that, a proper salary, and we need to support them because they support the community by looking after lots of children within the community. Interest has obviously gone down. CCN adverts, that's about roughly what we're getting per year. So our total income will, if we keep the precept the same, will be 51,852. So that leaves us a balance of about 21,000, which we can then look at how we allocate that. Looking at the repairs and maintenance budget for next year, if we toss up all the items on the surveys, it's about £4,000, and I've put this slightly less as the balancing figure. Roman Park, we need to obviously add to the existing reserve, and the same, the culverts, if we were to raise £11,000, that would mean we can afford to get the culverts done, and the grant provision, I've done the same as this year, although there's some headroom in that. With regard to reserves that we're carrying forward, we'll be carrying forward 11,000 on the Roman Park at the moment, so we'd be adding an extra 1,500 to bring that up to 12.5. The road safety fund remains the same. Culverts would go up to 26, which means we're a third of the way up to 80k, which I was going to talk about on the FAS scheme, that we've had some good conversations this last couple of weeks with Hereford Council. Excuse me. And then obviously there's the defibrillator fund and the other items that we can't really touch. So I don't know if Martin or Terry want to give any more sort of on that because they were at the meeting.
Martin, would you like to say anything? Your mics, you need to undo your mic.
Thank you. No, I think just to underline the fact that we, in order to be kind to people in their current perhaps financial difficulties, we decided to try and keep the precept the same, didn't we?
We did.
That was the point we were sort of aiming at. We could have, the sky's the limit, really, but we decided this year it was good to be sensible and prudent.
Okay. Is that it, Martin? Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right, Martin. We discussed it. We agreed that we could keep everything within budget if we stuck to the present precept. And this was mainly because we know that there will be a lot of people in the village, both working, etc., who will be struggling because of the present situation. And we just don't want to put any more on them than's necessary. So the plan is that we stick where we are. Obviously, that will affect any improvements that we want to do to the village. But unfortunately, with the COVID and so forth, we have to sort of sit back a little bit and give them a break. Lee?
So I guess presenting a draft budget to you this meeting from the finance sort of committee, if you like, and I think councillors can go away, think about it, and then we bring it back to the table for approval at the December meeting would be the sensible thing. It gives.
Will we have an update on the insurance and so forth then, or?
Well, not the insurance. We'll have updates on. I'm waiting for quotes in relation to repairs and maintenance.
Okay.
And also, we're waiting for Mary Lane.
Yes.
The infrastructure lady from Hereford Council to come back to us to see if they are willing to match the £26,000 for the culverts. Because Highways England are responsible for the other third. So if they are willing to match the 26,000, then it makes the option of doing the culverts in 2021-2022 feasible. If they aren't able to match it, then we need to have a think about whether we don't necessarily then need to obtain the full 11,000 during the year. We could bring that down to say 5.5. You could even reduce the precept then if you wanted to, or you could move it to repairs and renewals and do some more work on the community hall or somewhere else, or you could increase the charitable grant provision, or another project in the community if anybody else has any other ideas. So there's a few options open to you at the moment still, before we finalise it in December. It has to be finalised in December though. Yeah.
I think we need to stick with what we've got, because we know how slow the council can run sometimes because of the pressures that they're under at the present time. So if we stick with what we've got as a plan, as a budget, then we can certainly sort of speak about it again in December. Okay. Anybody else? Would anybody else like to have a comment on that? Andrew? No.
We can't hear you, Andrew.
Right. No, he doesn't.
Mic's not on.
Everybody's okay. Did you want to speak?
No.
Okay. Well, we can move on from that. But I hope that shows you, the picture and the budget that is drawn up. It's nice to be well in front of plans and so forth, because in the past we've struggled at the last moment. So a good plan, and thank you very much, Lee and Martin, for putting it together. Righto, we now move on, and we move on to planning. Long Friday Farm. This is one that's been going on for some time. It's mainly highway, and it will be them that make the final decision. There's very little we can say on that one. The next one is the land south of the 480 up to 100 houses. There's reconsultation on that. I can't remember what it was about now, but it's to do. Oh, it's the 106.
Yeah.
They've had to submit the 106. So that's ongoing, and as you can see, determination will not be made until the 8th of the 1st, 2021. So they've got a bit to run on that one. Moving down to Town Well, it's a listed building. We've had several applications from Town Well because it's a listed building. For every little thing that they do, they have to submit a planning application. And really, as you can see, it's improvements. So, unless anybody's got anything they want to comment on that, I think we can quite happily say that we support that application.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was done at the last meeting, Terry.
Was it?
Yeah. The only thing that this has come in today.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah.
3 Trenchard Avenue. But the comments need to be in by the 10th of December, 9th of December, sorry. So
I've looked at it. It's not actually on the council planning site at the moment.
No.
But it's a proposed single-storey garden room extension to replace existing conservatory. It's in Trenchard Avenue. All I can see, or all it seems, is that they're going to rebuild the room that they've already got and bring it up to a good standard. We will wait until we see the actual planning application, which should be there within the next couple of days. But I think as far as the Parish Council would be concerned, is purely on how big a building they're going to replace it with, and materials, etc., etc. But if there is any major concerns with that, we can always email you and come back to you. But on the whole, I think it will be something that the Parish Council can support. Any comments on that, please? No. Everybody happy with that? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Right. So that's planning. As I said, at the moment, it's nice to go quickly through planning, isn't it? Receive the reports from the working groups. Finance. Now, finance we've already
Done that.
discussed, so we can move on quickly from that. Unless anybody's got anything? No. No, thank you. Community hall. I think because of the lockdown, I haven't had a communication from Bessie. I did have a communication, but it was a bit weird saying she'd been hacked and to use this new number or so forth, which I didn't do. But I'll wait and see if she contacts me again. Footpaths, Paul Barrett.
No reports received.
I thought you'd gone out for a walk.
Oh no, I seem to work harder in lockdown than I do otherwise.
All right. Okay. War Memorial. Dina.
The shops.
Oh, have I missed a shop? Oh, sorry. Shops and businesses.
So the only thing I had on this, there was an action from 2 meetings ago to go away and organise a litter pick with the community group, which Emma Jones is happy to organise as a one-off because it's a business and they should be looking after the area themselves. However, we've had to obviously cancel the event because of lockdown, so we'll reorganise the event probably in January now.
Okay.
And the idea is that we will ask for a volunteer from each of the businesses to help with the litter pick. and also we will take photos and write to each of the businesses, including One Stop head office, with photos saying that volunteers have tidied up the mess and it is your responsibility, and can you try and keep it in good order going forward. So we'll try that tactic, which I think was approved either last meeting or the meeting before, I can't remember. But January we're expecting to do it.
I don't know what the pink bags are up the top of the village by the bus stop, which is normally the colour of the bags they use for litter pick. Do you know anything about it?
I don't know if Bex has seen an update, but I know that that's definitely from a litter pick, because that's what they do. Is if they've done a litter pick, they put them in the pink bags next to the bins.
Yeah.
Can I ask Terry?
Yeah, go ahead.
Are we any further forward with the surgery and the chip shop cutting their bit of hedge?
No.
That's on my list of things to do, Martin. Not cut it, but sort it out. I've got to speak to the area manager.
Oh, heck. You'll be lucky.
I spoke to her before, so we'll see.
Thank you.
No worries.
Okay. There is an item on Facebook I just noticed. We'll come back to that. Okay. War Memorial. Dina, thank you very much for the War Memorial. It looked absolutely superb for Remembrance Sunday. Have you anything to say?
Not really. I think Lee knows more about any of the restoration of the actual memorial itself.
Yeah.
And he's negotiating that.
I think it'd be useful to get a sort of update on what happened on Remembrance Sunday.
Yes.
Well, there was a very nice service. It was just a few people, and all the sort of precautions of COVID were in place, and it was very moving.
Yes, it was a super service. I'm not sure that everybody who had been invited by Rana turned up, but I know there was a few people disappointed that they couldn't go. But I did say to them, there was space, which was not much good saying that to them after it all had happened. But yes, it was very good. Any other comments on that?
No.
Okay, flood alleviation scheme.
Yeah, so I've had a letter from the solicitor, which I'll circulate in relation to our solicitor has retired. So that's 4 solicitors now we've used for the flood alleviation scheme. Hopefully this one will last the course. But essentially the file's been handed to the Hay on Y office, and she'll be following up the easement agreement and the transfer of land. So I'm hoping that we will get a revised document for the council to review. I'm hoping for the next meeting, but we will see. And of course, the other thing was we've spoken again to Mary Lane at Hereford Council about I've sent the 2 reports. I've sent her the invoice, which you've seen, and she is very aware of what the situation is for the culverts, and she will do her very best to see if she can help us raise a third of the funds. So we're waiting. She said she would write back to us before the end of November, so that gives her some time to see, because they're obviously setting budgets for 2021, 2022 at the same time as us, and then dependent on that information, then the council can decide what it wants to do with raising the remainder, either in next year or to spread it over 2 years. and then adjust the precept accordingly. So that's positive, but we're still no further forward in many ways.
Okay. Schools. Rana?
I don't think there's really anything much to say as far as I can remember. I know that schools generally are a bit nervous at the moment because there's a few outbreaks in various schools around Herefordshire. But they seem to be carrying on okay here.
Okay.
That's all.
Thank you very much. Social club, Paul? Paul Warrington. You switch your mic on, please, Paul.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, still closed, so no updates from down there, I'm afraid.
Okay, thank you very much.
What about Roman Park?
Oh,
Sorry?
Roman Park, you missed out.
yeah, Roman Park, yeah. It's a good job I got you here, Martin, isn't it?
No.
Roman Park. Jenny and X. No?
No, I've nothing to add. No, me neither.
Okay.
Can I just say something, Terry?
Yeah, go ahead.
With reference to the social club, are they able to claim the grant at the moment, the one we're applying for the changing room? Do we know anything about that, Paul? They can?
I think so. I think it covers the community hall and the social club and the resource centre as well.
Okay.
Ron, I could probably speak to the men's club and so on, because I'm sure it covers them because they've got rateable values. So make sure they don't miss the boat this time, Marana.
Well, no, they haven't missed the boat. They're pretty well off at the moment, I think.
Oh, good.
And another question with regard to the social club. Do you know whether they've got business interruption insurance?
I don't.
I don't know, but I think it's a good point. They should look at that.
Because, I mean, it's affecting a lot of businesses up and down the country. And just share something with you. There's the appeal. The insurance companies lost the case back in September, and it's gone to appeal. It's actually started on Monday of this week at the Supreme Court in London. And it's due to finish tomorrow, the appeal, and we should get a judgment hopefully by the end of this year. It'll affect people like me, but I was just thinking of the social club. If they've got, obviously it's dependent upon which insurer you have, but I'm pretty sure if it goes our way, then they'll all have to fall in line. So it might be a nice little earner for them if it does happen. I'm just keeping my fingers crossed at the moment. But just something to bear in mind anyway.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Thank you, Andrew. We'll have to mention it to them and make sure that they've...
I mean, if you apply now, they'll just turn you down. But I think it's best to hold fire and I would say give it a couple of weeks and find out what the outcome is at the Supreme Court.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll forward on those details to the club and community.
Yeah. I'm sure they know that anyway, but it's just in case they don't.
Look, I think at this time it's best that we, make sure that we're all doing what we need to give us some relief of funding and so forth, to make sure that our small businesses and clubs keep running. Thank you very much. Anything else on that one?
No.
Right. We move on to asset management.
Okay, so the main update really is that we're just waiting for quotes on the year 2 and 3 cost items that we have flagged in the survey reports that we're looking at for the repairs and maintenance budgets, and once we have those we'll be able to make some decisions then on which items get prioritised. So hopefully if people can give us some quotes ASAP, that'd be great. Paul.
Some people are a bit slow on their admin.
Yeah. You're muted, mate.
Sorry?
It's muted. It's trying to come back to us, but it's muted.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's working.
He's chuckling anyway.
Yeah. He says he works hard.
He does work hard. Okay. We'll move on then to the COVID-19 emergency. That's for all of us. Lee, have you got an update on that?
Just what was circulated before the meeting, but just for the minutes in the meeting, is that we've made an application for the Roman Park for the grants that are available, and I suspect we will get that, and that's £1,334 for the period it's closed. So obviously we can move that to the Roman Park budget once that comes in, and we've got some items further down that we're looking at for the Roman Park anyway. We've been allocated a new link worker for this period. Forget her name. I'm not sure if I've covered it.
Laura, hasn't it? Laura?
Yeah, that rings a bell, Rana.
Laura somebody.
Yeah.
Definitely Laura.
Okay.
So,
I did see the email. But...
yeah, I think I forwarded it on. But essentially, they're pulling together the same volunteers and groups of people to help with. Where is it?
Okay. Rana, have you had any requests for assistance? Or?
No, it's all been very quiet this time. I think people are better organised, or and it's not quite as long. So I think it's hopefully not quite as long. So I think people are sort of seeing the light ahead and sort of not panicking quite so much mentally, I think, as well.
Lorna.
Yeah. I don't know how many.
Oh, Lorna, that's it.
I don't know how many people in the village received the letter for vulnerable people, but it's much the same as the last one. The only thing that I tried out was the fact that we phoned, or we went online, and we actually got a delivery from Sainsbury's last week, and we got another one this week. So whether it's they've taken on more people and so forth, or whether they're more organised, I don't know, but quite pleased.
It's a nightmare shopping in Sainsbury's at the moment.
Yeah, I don't want to go near there.
You've got all these women with their big trolleys stacking them up for you lot at home, waiting for them.
Yes. Yes.
It's me doing the click and collect as well.
Yeah.
Okay, can we move on from there, everybody? Is everybody happy with that? Any further comments? No. Okay, thank you. Right. Matters arising since last meeting. Consider quotes received for electrical testing of the changing rooms and resource centre.
Okay. So I've obtained, these were raised on the survey reports as needed doing. So we need to do a 5-yearly electrical testing of the changing rooms and the resource centre. So I've had a quote from SG Projects Limited for the changing rooms, £324 plus VAT, and hang on, the nursery was slightly more expensive, £400. I then went for a second quote, and Melcon have come in. Forget that price, that's if he works at the weekend, because obviously we don't want the nursery affected, so we'll try and do it during holidays. So £240 for each of them. So Malcon did the testing in the community hall, so we know that their work is fine. No questions about that. So if everyone's happy, we're going with a lower quota, those two.
Yeah.
If we can get a proposal, that'd be great.
Okay.
I'll propose that.
Thank you, Martin.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Andrew. Okay. Right, we move on to that request. A request received from the church warden to erect an accurate wreath on the railings around the tree on the village green. Sorry, I can't get my words out tonight. Everybody say that? Any comments? Everybody happy with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Lee, that's approved.
Okay.
So we just need actually a proposer, which was Martin, yes?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And Andrew again. Consider quotes received for asbestos survey of the resource centre.
Okay, so again, usual thing. I've got, even though we don't need to get 2 quotes for less than £500, I still have. So first quote is 295 plus VAT and 150 for the management plan. And then the other quote, these are both Hereford companies, local firms. And then the other one is a fixed price of £250, and that includes the management survey, and that's up to 20 samples. Now I envisage that the resource centre, we won't have more than 20 samples in the resource centre. If it was a community hall, I'd expect us to be having a lot more samples than that.
So Lee, is this a statutory requirement that we have an asbestos test? I know we've mentioned the ceilings and so forth, but as far as I'm aware, that building's, well, I know that building is quite new, so surely there would have been asbestos checks on the building whilst it was being built, building regulations, etc.
I think the answer to the question is that we don't know whether there is asbestos in the building. So it was highlighted on the survey report that we need to have the test done.
Okay.
We need at least an awareness as to whether there is asbestos. I think we've got a duty of care to our tenant,
Okay.
particularly as it's a nursery, to have a report that shows that the building is suitable from this point of view. My concern would more be with the community hall. I know that the social club has an asbestos survey and management plan in place, and they've got significant areas with asbestos, not the high grade stuff, but they've got materials in there that were exactly the same as community hall. And the community hall, I don't think, although I'm not 100% sure, I don't think they've got one, and they should have. And I think the same here. We haven't got one. We don't know for sure whether there is asbestos in there. For 250 quid, we're better off knowing, in my opinion, and then we've got it in writing.
Okay.
And if we've got asbestos in there, then we perhaps need to have a plan of removal,
Okay.
Maybe, or managing it.
So the quotes, is the £250 the one you're showing? Is that the?
Yeah, the other one is 295, and then you'd need another £150 on top for the plan. If the plan's not necessary, if they go in and test all of the things, and then there's no asbestos found, you don't need a plan.
Okay.
But anyway, this is the cheaper one, includes both if required.
Yeah.
Could I have a proposal, please, and a seconder that we accept? Okay, Paul Warrington and
Paul Burridge.
Paul Burridge.
Blood.
Is everybody happy with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Consider a request to put a small notice next to the Neolithic waymarker stone on the village green. Paul, Lee, you know more about that.
Yeah, let me just find the words. So the stone on the village green might just look like a rock to the untrained eye, let's say. But in actual fact, it's been there for a very long time. So we've got here the sort of wording that could go on it that is quite significant. There's only 4 in the county, and the Credno one is of great significance because it dates back to the Roman times, and obviously we've got quite a few bits of Roman and Roman history in the village. So Suzanne has been in touch with David Whitehead, and this is the proposed words that would go on a small notice that would go next to the stone so that people would be able to read about it and know what it was there for. We've got a write-up on the website already about it. I think one of the concerns is also it's next to a BT manhole, so quite often we have a lot of workmen down there and what have you, so protecting it is quite important because it's in a position where it could quite easily get not vandalised but accidentally damaged, let's say.
Okay. So how does everybody feel about that?
Can I just follow on from that last point, Lee?
Yeah.
Of course.
When we had the last road traffic sign put up there, with the 20 mile an hour, and they came along, one or two of us did speak to the workmen, and they were quite ignorant, you see, as to what that stone was. And they could quite easily have either broken it or dug it up and thrown it away to put their sign in. So it is important that in some way, whether we also perhaps put a little fence around it, I don't know. But it is it doesn't look much, but it is a very significant part of our history.
Yeah, I've actually raised the question. Well, I raised it with English Heritage to start with, but they just referred me back to Hereford Council. So, and I've raised the question with the historic building people of Hereford Council. What should we do to preserve the stone? Essentially, is there something we can do? Could we pour a block of resin over it, for example, clean it up and pour a block of resin? I don't know. Or a little fence around it or something with the sign there. I don't know, but
whose land is it, by the way?
Ours, yours, Parish Council.
Oh, that's good. It's not. So we can make the decision.
Yes.
Yeah, fine.
Guys, can I just speak there? If you go onto the old parish photographs on our website, you can see the stone there with the old signpost. It's actually been moved slightly from where it was originally.
Yeah.
A few years ago, I believe Jerry Dorr, he had a look underneath it just in case there was any buried treasure or whatever. He did have a look. Obviously, he's into the historical stuff anyway, and so he did actually look underneath it. If anyone wants to have a conversation with Jerry, he can maybe give you more information on that. But because he painted the old sign, the mileage marker, didn't he, about 2 years ago?
Yes, he did.
And I think it might be good to liaise with him as well. He's got some really good ideas on that sort of thing. But yeah, it's a good idea to put some sort of a sign up there, but maybe involve Jerry Dorr in the conversation as well.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
When you mention fences and things like that, it sounds very twee. I'm not sure that it would stay there long.
That's true. Okay, yeah, a sign would do that.
And you have to be careful with visibility when you get to that junction. You can't have anything too high.
No, I don't think no. Okay. Let's go with the sign. Let's further with the sign then.
Well, we'll speak to Jeremy and see if he's got any ideas, because he does delve quite a lot in that. So, yeah, we'll see what we can do. But on the whole, is the Parish Council happy to go along with it? I don't think it will cost a lot of money.
We've got a budget for signage anyway, haven't we?
Yeah, we have.
There's quite a lot of words in that suggested format, though. I just wonder what size this would be, almost as big as a stone.
Yeah.
Should that be Watling Street and not Watling Street? I don't know. But
Yes, it is Watling Street.
yeah.
Yeah.
Also, if the sign is going on the stone, is it going to encourage people to risk crossing over to have a look and see what it says? If it's quite a lot of words, put their lives in their hands as they try and cross the road to get to it.
Would it be an idea to as a longer term action to just have a notice sort of saying the stone, the gist of its history, and it's more on a notice board, perhaps a bigger notice board somewhere in the village with more of the historical interest pieces that are around the village?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. That's a good idea.
I think that's an extra idea, Dina, and I think that's something that we ought to put into the Roman Park development. Well, we have sort of got it in there, but we could revisit emphasising the Roman side a bit.
But yeah, you're quite right. I've seen them in other villages, and they are really quite smart, and it's nice for people to.
Because it would fit that.
Park area's a bit out of the way. I don't know. Is there a more central place in the village you could have an information board?
Dina, you're slightly missing the point. The point, I think, is to draw attention to it so that people don't damage and remove it. Because if the information's somewhere else, that's by the way. The point here, I think, the primary point is that we draw attention to it so it doesn't get damaged or taken away by Balfour Beatty.
I'm not disputing that, and I'm agreeing for a small sign. But what I'm saying is that the amount of information in that format is too much.
Well, could we agree in principle to a small sign, the words yet to be decided?
I think, please don't take me wrong when I say this, it's been there since Roman times. And all of a sudden we need a sign, and to protect it and so forth. Okay, I understand what you're saying, and perhaps something put on the railings by the tree. Do not remove the stone. But as I said, it's been there a long time with no problems at all.
Could always put a sword in it.
Well, the sign could go on the railings. I think that's a good idea. Yeah.
Okay.
Or at the end of the sword.
You're still going to cross the road.
At least the workman would have the information then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do not remove the stone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to wrap it up for this year. I will be.
Okay. We had somebody break in there. Okay. I think we must move on from there.
So, what was the action for me from that?
To consult with this other guy. What was his name?
Jeremy Dorr. Okay. Right. I think we come to that long end of that long list. We go to public question time. Lee, I think there's something on Facebook.
Yes, there is. Okay, so I've got a question from Chris Lewis. With the decision being made soon about the bus pulling at the top of the village, has anything been done about improving the pavements by the tree and the school to make it safer for the school children and general public? Not a lot of point spending 40,000 on a bus pulling if it's dangerous to walk to the bus pulling. So this is the narrow pavement across from the stone that we were just talking about.
There's a lot of truth in that.
Yes.
A lot of truth in that. But I think when we come to have this meeting with highways in the future, because he does say that if it's going to be spent soon, it's not going to be spent soon. Like everything, it goes on forever. I think we must point this out to them that, you know, you're spending money for a pull-in, but the road that they walk up to get to is more dangerous.
And I think that was what was highlighted when the Parish Council made the decision.
Yes.
We said that the spare budget that was available after the shelter had been built and the speed sign had been put up could be spent on improving that pavement there.
Yeah.
And the other thing is the Section 106 money from the two developments, if they're to go ahead, there'll be money available there for highways improvements. So the Parish Council will obviously be fighting as much as possible to make sure that money is spent within the village, is, I suppose, the answer, really. Sorry, Terry, I've accidentally muted you.
Okay. Yeah, you're quite right.
Can I say something there, Terry?
Sorry?
Can I add a comment there?
Yes, of course.
That the only way to widen that footpath, and this is to rehearse a suggestion that was made, is to make that section of road one way with traffic lights and and make the width of the pavement about 3 times its width. It's the only way you're going to solve that.
Yeah, but it's not just there, Martin. It's down the hill as well.
Yeah, well, right down to Dovecote Lane, you'd have to make it.
Yeah. So that is such a good comment, and something we need to discuss with highways when we manage to get this meeting together. I'd like to thank Chris Lewis for those comments, and we will take them to the highways and give them your point of view. Thank you. Lee, anything else?
I'm in shock. It's 20-9 and we're nearly done. No, that's it.
Right. Just public question time. We've done that. Confirmation of the next meeting, which will be 7:30, 16th December, and I assume it will be by the same platform, Webex, and hopefully we will see you all there. So now I declare the meeting closed. One thing, for some of you might not know her, but it's very, very sad today that Shirley Williams, who was the clerk of Stretton Suggers,